Hello everybody, welcome to an interview with Treatz, support for SK Gaming. I think we've talked quite a bit throughout the years, but I think that I've never done a formal interview with you, so it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. How are you, Eric? How is it going?
Thank you. I'm doing good. Not the cleanest game from our part against Vitality, but I mean, a win is a win. It was really important for us to win, so I'm happy that we actually won the game.
Yeah, we'll talk about the game a bit later, but first of all, I'd like to ask you about your career, about your trajectory, because you've gone from the multi-role talent meme to the cardboard meme to now being one of the most prominent figures in this SK Gaming lineup with several player of the game performances. So how does performing so well at the LEC feels like after so many years trying to get into the league?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it feels really good. I think I was ready to play in LEC or LCS for quite some time. But in esports, it's all about getting the chance and making use of it. So I'm happy that I got the chance in SK now and that I'm making use of it. And I'm just happy to be like confident in my place, and I'm not scared of anything. So I'm happy.
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of engages from your side. You had one spectacular one after this multi-man sleep from your jungler. There were some memes comparing this to TSM and Spica's sleep, but we'll leave that to social media. But of course, you just played against Vitality. As you said, it was kind of a rough game. But they have Lavrov as a support and obviously Crownson now as their marksman. What do you think about them as a bot lane? And I'm also interested in knowing your thoughts about Crownson versus Comp, because most of us have seen this movement as somewhat unfair to Comp.
I think overall as a bot lane so far, they didn't play that good. We gave them a big CS lead when we went for Herald, which is like the same mistake we did against Fnatic, so they got like a big farm lead from that. But I think the 2v2 in early game, it's like almost unplayable for us. We just took a really scaling matchup and we tried to display it as well as we could and give some farm, which I think we were happy with. We were always confident that we're going to outscale them this game. So overall, I don't think they're super good, at least right now. I think overall Comp versus Crowny, it's really hard to tell because I don't think AD carry is the best role to have impact on a team, even if you're a shot caller in AD. Because if you get put behind, then sometimes it can be hard to shot call. I'm not quite sure like exactly what he wants to do in Vitality, but overall I think it's kind of like a questionable move. I would like to just see them to fully swap the bot lane then or something, but yeah, it's kind of a question mark for me.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned, of course, this CS lead that they had in the bot lane, and we saw you guys trying to break this freeze, but you obviously didn't have the jungler backup. So, as you said, it's something that has happened in previous games as well. Mm-hmm. Will you share some of the communication that is going behind the scenes, because it's something that's going on frequently, and maybe it's nice to understand from the other side what's going on during these moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think honestly the answer is pretty simple. We just go through bot before Herald, but we were kind of thinking we can break this freeze by ourselves, but we didn't see Olaf for like 2 minutes straight, so it was kind of like a flip, right? Do we go for the unfreeze and maybe die, or just give some farm in a game that you're going to outscale and take Herald anyway, right? So the mistake came from earlier from our planning, which I think was mostly my bad. I think my planning was bad in that sense, because I was thinking more what they want to do around mid, because Ryze had no flash. So I was thinking how to cover Ryze instead of how we can like pressure the map, you know. So it was kind of like a weird thing to think about. I think we just had to play more on our game and play more towards bot before Herald spawns instead of just completely abandoning it, like what happened against Fnatic yesterday too.
Mm-hmm. And you said something about playing to your game, and I was listening to the cast, and they said that things hasn't actually died before the 15-minute mark. And I know that statistics sometimes are just anecdotal, but do you think this is an indicator of maybe a slow playstyle that you guys have, because the game was kind of slow as well? Do you think that you need to be more proactive in the first minutes of the game?
I think our proactiveness doesn't really come from jungle ganks usually. I think we're very good at playing around our jungle's like tempo overall and maximizing his farm, because jungle is very strong on this patch. So having the jungle have a lot of farm, like 10-15 CS lead at 10 minutes, is usually a good indication that you will win the Rift Herald fight. So usually we sack some lane farm for jungle farm, which I think is fine. And overall, we don't really play a lot of like early ganking junglers right now. We've played some like Olaf, I think, and Hecarim before, but like Lily is not really the champ that wants to gank pre-6. She just wants to get 6 and then look for plays. But before that, she's just chilling, right? So I think, I mean, obviously it's good that it hasn't died, right? but we're more playing towards like the strengths of our team and the strengths of the meta, I think. But it can change in the future.
Yeah, and obviously we've already seen some of the announced changes for the next patch with the camps experience and everything. And this, of course, when you change something in League of Legends, it has like this butterfly effect that changes everything in other roles. And I'd say that support is one of the roles that has changed the least since Worlds. We are still seeing these tank supports and everything. And I think you're comfortable with them, but are you eager to see some changes in the role? Do you think that it's going to affect your support meta pool in the future?
Yeah, I mean, support meta has been very stable for the past like year or so. It's basically just adding a few champs here and there, like Rel, right? New champ, tank support. Yeah, okay, fits the meta. But yeah, in general, I would like to see a change, but I don't think it's like super necessary. I think in general, there's plenty of champs you can play right now. Like Rakan, for example, was not really played before, but I think it's fine champ sometimes. And there's just plenty of engaged support, so I'm happy playing these types of champions. And for sure, the jungle XP change might change some of that. Maybe you have a more like early game punishing comps, like I don't know, for example, like Ashe Zyra, right, or something with a ganking jungle to like hard pressure early game. But overall, I don't think the meta will change that much for support for the next patch.
Okay, so I'll be looking into that in the future, of course. And obviously, you also said in the post-game lobby yesterday that you are trying to win both spring and summer, obviously with more of a focus on summer because you're a rookie team and everything. But what do you think that you need to work the most in order to get those goals?
I mean, I think right now we're actually not as bad as some games look, this one including. I think there's parts of the game that we just play super bad. Like, for example, the Herald swap, right? We just lose so much gold for no reason. I think all of our laners are really good, and we have a good teamwork and good team fights in general. So as long as the game is even at 10 minutes, like we feel really confident winning the game. So yeah, I think in general, just don't int the game away on certain timers, and we're really confident that we can beat anyone.
I'm talking about teams that int from time to time. I don't know if you've watched some of their games, but as a former TSM player, and now, of course, they have a Sword Art in what used to be your role. Have you seen anything about them? Can you give me any opinion on how you think they are performing right now?
Yeah, I was watching most TSM games so far. I try to watch all the regions right now because like the season is pretty early, and you can find some interesting like picks or interesting like plays in general. The biggest thing I'm confused about with TSM right now is why they're not getting any early kills. I feel like they have a lot of aggressive players, but they're not really finding any early game advantages whatsoever. So I'm kind of confused as to why that is. I feel like with Spica and Sword Art, two like really bloodthirsty players, they should have more kills. So I think if TSM can improve their early game, their mid game should be in theory pretty decent, right? They have a lot of experienced players, like especially Sword Art, LPL, like a finalist in Worlds, etc. So yeah, I think with TSM fixing their early game, it would help their team a lot. But right now, it's kind of non-existent.
And I guess that you also saw the Lockin Tournament. Would you have preferred to have some kind of a tournament before the split started as they have in NA, or are you comfortable with this regular season format that we have in Europe?
I think I prefer having this regular season format. I think in general, like the Lockin Tournament just takes a lot of time for not really any reward. I think it's just prize money, right, for first place. So I think it's kind of a waste of a tournament. I mean, it's nice for the fans to watch, right? But as a player, you want to maximize your training time to make sure you don't burn out across the entire year. So I think that might happen in NA this year if people don't like practice and live very well. So from that perspective, I for sure prefer just having 2 splits and then Worlds. It's better from player perspective.
Okay, and finally, of course, interviews are only a small window, a small opportunity to get to know players a bit better, but sometimes it's hard to ask questions not related to League because there isn't much material to document them with. So if you're up to, I'd like to ask you to share something that from your side, like maybe you have a certain hobby that people don't know of, like Perks playing the guitar, or you used to play soccer when you were a kid, like Reckless, or maybe the TV show that you're watching, whatever you feel like. I think it will be interesting for the audience to know.
I mean, in quarantine, it's definitely harder to do stuff outside of the game. I think the only interesting thing that I was doing between the splits was playing some World of Warcraft. I was talking to Wunder about it in our pre-game lobby as well. It's something I like doing. I'm just a really competitive person, so I like to compete. I got pretty good in WoW in like 2 weeks that I played it. Haven't touched it since, but yeah, I like to be competitive in all the games that I play, so that's maybe something interesting for all you WoW fans.
All right, so I think that's all from my side. Thank you very much for coming, Treatz, and best of luck in the future, of course. Remember to follow him on Twitter. You have his handle on the overlay. And of course, if you like the interview, subscribing to the channel, dropping a like or a comment is always appreciated to help sharing the content to other League fans. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much and have a nice day.
Thank you, you too.
De estar escuchando este mensaje significa que te has visto todo el vídeo, así que te lo agradezco una barbaridad por apoyar el contenido, y si quieres seguir apoyándolo puedes hacerlo suscribiéndote, que te va a salir por aquí un iconito para que lo hagas, y si quieres ver más vídeos de este tipo porque te han gustado, más allá de dejar el like, la campanita y demás que siempre ayuda, tienes aquí un par más para que puedas seguir viéndolo. Nada más, espero te haya gustado y nos vemos en otra ocasión.